I find observing how other people live to be a great way to gain feedback. I can watch and observe those who are happy, those who are sad, those who are depressed, those who are unhealthy, those who are thriving. I observe them closely, what they do, what do they sacrifice, how do they respond to adversity, what do they prioritize, are they healthy, do they have loving and respectful relationships, do they show up for their family, and do they control their time and their finances? And when I observe the outcomes of these people, I am able to think about what are the things that I believe influence the outcomes that they're getting, and what are they not doing that frees them up to have more time to prioritize that. And with the information that I have, I can either act the same to try and duplicate our outcome, or avoid it like mad. Because what I have experienced over my life is people can teach you what to do, and more importantly, what not to do. And that took me a long time to recognize. I've had a coach in the past, one who's extremely successful, and I hired him and sought him out because he had the results that I wanted financially and within business. However, as I got to know him better and our relationship continued, I recognized that there were areas of his life that I didn't want to have. The no time for hobbies and physical health. There was no social connections happening, and that wasn't how I wanted to live my life. And I found myself going down the same path as most men and most people, where I was sacrificing what was really important for me or to me so that I could achieve financial and career success. Now, career success is deeply important to me, as I'm sure it is for you. I love the recognition, I love having purpose, and I love growing my wealth so that I can have great experiences, look after my family, and just not have financial stress. But I see people who have their families grow up without them. I speak to a lot of them, and that's a lot of the men that I work with. They're missing the sports carnivals, the birthday parties, and the date nights, right? They become a shadow figure around the house. They're not a staple within the family. Their role becomes very apparent that they're here to protect and provide. And when I say provide, that is financially, and that is the extent of it. I believe we have so much more to offer, and I believe personally a lot of men have so much to give and provide emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that a lot of families miss out on because they're so focused on that sole financial stability. And that's where we need to reframe and refocus how to fit everything in. So, I see people who are high school star athletes sacrifice their health. They battle walking up the stairs and don't want to see their reflection in the mirror. I see people who lived their life like a big adventure and they get bogged down in the rat race, living life like one depressing, sad day on repeat. The time is flying by, but nothing is changing. Most of those people continue setting work tasks because they don't have much outside of that. No hobbies, crap social connections, and tense home life. And I know this because I experienced this. But I have become aware that what I want my life to look like, and the idea of who I need to become to get there. I found it very challenging in the beginning to create that vision because I had a lot of fear around what if I make the wrong decisions, what if people don't accept me, what if I don't like the outcome. And that fear held me back for a long time because I didn't do anything differently. I continued to get more of the same, and I realized pretty quickly that if I wanted different outcomes, I had to step into that fear. I had to lean into it. I had to risk people not liking me. I had to risk failure. I had to risk making the wrong decision. And I would say 20% of the decisions that I've made have moved me towards 80% of the results, but that is learning, that is feedback. And as I've become older and more experienced, I now make better decisions because I have feedback that most people don't. And that's why I'm a big believer in taking the risks to build that life. Like most of you probably listening to this podcast, I aspire to achieve success in my career, but I'm not prepared to sacrifice my social connections, my health, and my lifestyle in order to do that. In this newsletter, I want to share with you how I am optimizing my life. It is possible to have time for work, social connections, and family, I'm living proof of that. And for those of you who have been listening long enough or you follow me on social media, you'll have seen I have continued to grow my business. I am running multiple marathons, which I'm training for, so I'm doing a lot of running at the moment. I have been traveling all around the United States, and I have managed to balance that out because of some of the things that I'm going to teach you in this newsletter. So I want to share with you a few ideas and a couple of frameworks that you can use. So if you're listening to this and you want to see the frameworks, head over to my website, themanthatcanproject.com, and check out the newsletters section where the frameworks will be, or you can look to join the self-discovery program where I go through a lot of this stuff. And that program in itself is continuing to have new modules added to it. So if you have purchased it previously, I would go back and check it to see if there are some new modules updated, which you probably have been notified about. But let's go to idea 1, optimize for lifestyle. High achievers know that it's not a choice to build a life's vision. It is a must. Knowing the direction of your life is absolutely key. You know, lifestyle is broken down into buckets, and you've heard me speak about it on a number of podcasts, but we can all build our own buckets. In 2019, I used to have 8 areas or 8 buckets, and over time as priorities and life have changed, I've played around with the idea and tested it, found out what works well for me. So while I'm going to share that I use health, wealth, relationships, and adventure currently, that may change for me, but that is what works right now for I guess the bandwidth of my focus. I believe the quality of life is only as good as my weakest bucket. So at any point, one area is definitely going to take priority over another. So it is important for us to be aware of the areas that are being neglected and when they need more attention, because that time comes and that does happen. The negligence of this, not reflecting on that or reviewing that, costs people their health, it costs people their marriages, and worst case, it costs people their life. Because in order to find balance, in order to find fulfillment, we need to be continually scanning. How is my health doing? I've been focusing a lot on my career, and my relationships have taken a back seat. My training's taken a back seat, but I'm really starting to feel lethargic. I'm not confident in my skin. Maybe I need to woo up on work for a moment and give a 12-week block to my health, to getting my energy back, to getting comfortable back in my skin, because I know as a result of that, I am going to feel much better, which will allow me to perform much better in my career. And that's why it's really important to think about that. So it's not about, I guess, stopping the the growth in certain areas. It's about juggling between life maintenance and life progress, which we'll speak about in an upcoming point. But coming back to it, when I wrote out the vision for my life, and I'm currently rewriting a new one because it's about 10 years since I wrote my first one, which is pretty cool. I designed the ideal outcome, and what I'm doing right now is I'm thinking about the ideal outcome for the next 10 years. You can do this, and I run through this in that self-discovery program you can find on the website. I know, how much money I want to earn to support my lifestyle. I know what my bucket list looks like. I know what I want to achieve in my career. I have an idea of how I want to be as a husband and as a father and as a mate, and from a health perspective, what I want to achieve. And so I can work backwards to achieve those goals, and that's how we do it. It doesn't need to be complicated, and anyone can do it. The significance of the goal is all relative, right? You may look at some of the things that I do and think they're minuscule, or you may think some of them are insanely large. And I believe they're all relative to the experiences and the goals that I've achieved previously. So if you're someone who has never set a vision like I was 10 years ago, just start with something. It might be a 1-year or a 3-year vision, and you can then break down milestones and goals in order to achieve that. But that's a whole different podcast. That's in the program. You can check that out. But questions that I ask myself is, how can I maintain the income that I'm earning while working less and living more? That sounds like a pretty good goal. How can I travel for a few months and continue growing my business, right? Because these are problems, right? You need to ask yourself potential problems or problems that you're experiencing and what you need to do in order to solve them, because this is how we start thinking about time management and task management, which is what this whole one is about, is how we find time for everything. Is how can I get in the best shape of my life without sacrificing social interactions, meaning some people live so strictly toward a health goal that they don't enjoy meals with friends, or they don't enjoy, nice wines or whiskeys with people. And look, there's a time and a place for that, but I wouldn't live my whole life like that. So it's about finding that balance, understanding the season that you're in. Now, so far I haven't spoken about any roadblocks. You are definitely going to hit roadblocks. Now, I know that on the side of every roadblock is the answer that I need to build my life. Initially, I looked at it through the lens when a roadblock was there, I wasn't good enough and I couldn't overcome it, so I would stop. But I want you to know that you are or can be resourceful enough now with the internet, with ChatGPT, reaching out to me to find a way to break through to the other side, which has the results and the answers that you want to be the best version of yourself, to be living a really great life. So my advice is don't quit, grow. I have personally created a productivity system that helps me optimize my life. And if you would like me to share that with you, I'm going to be adding it to the self-discovery program over the next couple of weeks. So once again, that program at the moment is $37 US. That will be going up, and as it continues building out to where I want it to be, I will obviously increase the price because there's increased value. But for those who buy it now, you're going to have lifetime access to that. A quick side note on that is this is me just starting, not waiting for it to be perfect, because I know that this system will continue building out and I don't want to just bunker down for 6 months and not start. I think it's really important to start, get feedback and continue adding to this. So my big belief that I have at the moment is that society sets us up to fail from the beginning, putting us in a system that doesn't encourage us to design our own life. The schooling system serves a great purpose. What we lack is the perspective of what that purpose actually is. We think it is learning mathematics, learning science, etc. That is awesome for those of you who want to work in that field, but for the general person who is just looking to find something that's moderately fulfilling, earn a wage to live a great life, we need to look at it through the lens of when I was growing at school and when I was reaching grades, I was learning. Was my study procedure. This was how I managed my time. This was how I set reminders to get my tasks completed. Because if we can look at that, you can implement that into your own life to be able to achieve and have time for the things that are important to you. So we don't learn to problem solve. We don't learn to understand our emotions, which is, I think, tragic. It really robbed me of so many years and experiences because of that. And there are so many other important skills that would help us optimize our life that we don't get taught. And a lot of people are now looking for answers because their life isn't where it needs to be. And I know I am one of those people as well. And I believe there are smart enough people out there that know the importance of optimizing your life. I believe it would save marriages, decrease suicide, and massively improve people's health if they learned some of the things that we're going to continue covering in this, from time management to task management to creating a life's vision, goal setting, all the things that I'm always talking about. But I have found meaning in my life. I've created a system that has given me freedom over my time and how I spend it. Now, even if you work for someone, you can still optimize your life for the situation and the desires that you want to have. You will not have as much control over your time. That's just one of the sacrifices of having security within your job. So you need to ask yourself, is that really secure for you? But you can still find a way to optimize your life for the way that it's being run right now. You must optimize your life. Start with creating the vision and consider what buckets are important to you. Then you can start working backwards with goals that are going to help you move towards that. So key point number 2 here is it's not a knowledge problem, it's an execution problem. So the biggest lie we are sold is we don't know enough or we aren't enough. We always need more. We have to look outside ourselves for answers all the time. We have to find validation. And while we're looking for those things, it's distracting us from what we should be doing to better improve our life, right? I guess an example, look at diet culture. People don't think that they can get back in shape and get healthy just by sticking to healthy food and tracking calories. We're looking for fat blasters, Ozempic, and so many things that we believe is going to be the fast track all we need to help us achieve the outcome. That is a bullshit for most people. If you review the tasks, and I want, I guess, to think about this, but review the tasks that you have completed over the last 7 days. And if you can't do that, you probably don't have a calendar or a to-do list to be able to review that. How many of them really needed to be achieved? Many of the people that I work with have said roughly around 20%. So because of the lack of self-worth and understanding around what we want from our life, we continue to say yes to things and we continue to add more to our plate, which means we are completing tasks and giving time to things that actually aren't improving our quality of life. So therefore, we find ourselves busy. We have a belief that we can't do the things that are required. We can't give time to our family. We can't make it into the gym. We can't find 10 minutes to read a book because our to-do list is so big. So if you can take a moment to review that and go, okay, this is not necessary, this is not necessary, this is not necessary, this is necessary, you're starting to build and improve your self-awareness around task management, right? And I've personally been building out my task management system because we use our 12-week game plan within the academy, but I've been building that using the Apple software, so using Apple Reminders as a great tool, using Apple Notes as a great way to put more information in there and linking that. And then obviously Calendar, which I always use to schedule appointments and chunk my time from the focus, the Try Focus daily plan, which I'll talk about in a moment. And it's really just helped me increase my productivity. And the point that I want to make there is lacking ownership over your calendar is an execution problem. It's an execution that you're not planning your time. It's an execution problem that you're not prioritizing what's important. You know, people know they should schedule time with family, but they don't do it. People know they should schedule time for exercise, but they don't do it. And people know they should schedule time to review their finances, but they still don't do it. That's not a knowledge problem. That is an execution problem. Do the things you know you should be doing, right? If it creates friction in your day, you will figure out how to solve it. Right now, I'm sitting on my floor in our 1-bedroom apartment recording this episode. The friction was I continued setting up and packing down my podcast studio with the proper mics and lighting, etc. And that was a bit of a hassle, especially when I'm just reading the newsletter. So what I've now done is I've got a tripod, I've got these new DJI mics that I can plug into my phone, and I hit it on cinematic mode, and that has reduced friction because I can literally sit down in my living room and do the thing that I know I need to do, make time, which now has saved me sort of 30 minutes in total of setup and pack down time. So I now have time to spend with my wife, or I'll go for a run after this and really put the time into other areas that are equally, if not more important to me. So I recognize that if I took action and enough action and failed, I was going to be presented with the exact information that I needed to overcome the failure or needed to learn. So as I mentioned with the self-discovery course, which is going to have a name change, which is getting more modules added to it, I knew that if I could just get a core nucleus, which will be in itself its own little, sub-module, I could get started and I could start helping people, but also get feedback, and it would allow me time with that feedback to go, okay, how do I need to mold this? What do I need to show you guys that I do, whether it's on my iPhone or on my computer, that can help you with your productivity or will educate you around how to be a healthier version of yourself and build a great life? And had I not started, I could have kept assuming, which once again probably would have prolonged me taking action. So think about in your life, what is something that you could start that you can get feedback with along the way? So rather than getting ready to get ready and learning things that wouldn't, help me move closer to my goal, I solve the problems that would, right? And that's by doing things and getting started. This sounds contradicting, and I want you to think about this. To make time for everything, you can't do everything. Sorry, let me rephrase. To make time for anything, you can't do everything. Look at it through the Try Focus daily plan. And what this is, I've created this idea because it's how I break my day down. It's me, them, work. So the me Try Focus is my personal well-being. So just quickly with this, if you just look at it through the lens of the Try Focus, you don't need to do it in that order. Do it in the order that works for you. Personally, for me, I'm doing it in me, career, them at the moment. That's what's working well for me. So first thing in the morning is personal well-being time. So I am working on my mindset, working on my body. So training, reading, writing, and just getting a few things done that help me feel better and help me level up. Because when I think about the vision, who I need to become, making sure that I make time for that is so important. A lot of people don't find time for themselves because they don't get up early enough or they stay up too late and they focus on the wrong thing. So that me time is chunked in, and I have specific tasks that can work within that. Now, the them task is your social connections and also work with colleagues, etc. So for me, it is time with my wife, it is time with my friends, it is time with my run club, and that's where I invest in that. So once again, weekends I generally give more time to them than I would during the weekday, but there is still allocated time. So I'm doing my daily deposits, I'm getting fulfillment, I'm getting social connection. It's awesome. And then work, obviously work has its own set of goals and tasks, and you should have goals for these areas. But in the midday, this is how I schedule my time. So I will post a screenshot on my Instagram stories just with my calendar breakdown at the moment and an ideal week. Once again, week to week that changes, but that's roughly what I work towards. So I know that the mornings until about 11 a.m. is me. That's where I do my deep work, my reading, writing, training, etc. From 11 till about 5 is work, and then after that is them. All right, and that's what I roughly work with. And once again, some of you cannot do that because you aren't in complete control of your time. And like I said, that is a personal choice and that is completely okay. But you can still use the Try Focus Daily Plan to work in with your lifestyle to get what you're looking for. So if you have a bit more control over your days, like I've been fortunate to build, then you can play around with that as well and do what works for you. Test it. If it is getting you results, continue doing it. If it's not, change it up. But that helps me get time for myself, time for other people, and time for my career. I believe that by focusing on that, you're going to feel like you're making progress and you're making time for the right things. From there, you're going to be able to establish a few things that actually add value there. The morning routine, for example, doesn't need to be 10 hours long. For me personally, the morning routine at the moment is rolling my feet because I'm doing a lot of running. It is listening to 10 minutes of an audiobook just to get a few thoughts and ideas. And then I'm writing, and then I'm getting into training, okay? Like I said, it's why I say that if you want to make time for anything, you can't make time for everything. You've got to test things and you've got to start setting boundaries and learning to say no. An easy way to start with this as you are breaking your time into these areas is when you know the outcome, you've got to start accepting responsibility for the thing that you believe is going to have the biggest impact on achieving your goal in that area for the day. So I guess the key is doing, not just thinking, not just planning, but you must do something and do one thing in those areas. So for example, the me time at the moment is my morning routine, which in my morning routine, I've broken into a few little things. Don't overcomplicate it, but that's what is working for me at the moment. Then in work, I obviously had to get this podcast done, and I have 2 more guest episodes today because what I'm doing now is I'm starting to pre-record 12 weeks, get that done so I don't have to do any podcasts while I want to spend more time growing my business with sales calls and coaching as opposed to doing a podcast every week. So that's going to be something that I'm testing. It may work well for me, it may not. But fear tricks us into thinking we need more information and we need better planning. That stops us taking action and only prolongs the outcome that you're looking to create. So when there's fear, ask yourself, what is it that I'm specifically fearing and what is on the other side of that fear? How you can speed up your success is 1, set a goal, right? Give yourself a deadline with that, very important. I always use a 12-week block, as I believe if you can get 12 significant goals done in a year, that's more than most people. Most people are doing a 12-month year with 0 goal achievement. So if you can do a big one each quarter, man, you're getting 4 times as much achievement or productivity as the average person. Number 2 is create the plan on how to achieve that. 3 is upskill, skill development. You do need to grow. Who you are right now versus who you'll be when you or should you achieve that significant goal is going to be very different. And as I'll talk about that. I'm jumping ahead here. We then go number 5 is execute. So execute the plan. Do what you said you're going to do. Don't find yourself in 12 weeks' time or whenever your timeline is for the goal, being distracted because you fear doing the thing that you know you should be doing. And finally, evaluate. How did the plan do for you? Did you take the action that you know you should? What held you back? What worked well for you? Like, start utilizing that so that in your next goal, you've got this newfound understanding and information. Do the thing you know you should be doing. If you experience fear, ask yourself, where is the fear coming from? What is on the other side of that fear? I just wanted to recap that. So for a long while, I feared doing what was needed to build the life that I know I wanted to live. Leaving the comfortable job to work online, that took me years. Working 4 hours a day and traveling, I thought I had to work 16 hours a day. I just was doing so many things that weren't actually necessary. And when I started working less, I felt lazy. Not going to university to be successful was something that I feared doing. But what got me here was not more knowledge. It was doing it. And I think through the experience, and let me actually even just speak this out loud. What got me here was not more knowledge, it was more experience. I think experience gives you knowledge in a different way of implementation. And I have learned everything I know through self-education and through experience. Some people need to make more time for families, side hustles, having fun, and the execution of the plan is what is going to be able to change your life. So don't fear that. Choosing to make time for the things that matter will improve your life's fulfillment. I promise you. No one else can do it for you. As the saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Executing your plans will eventually free up your time. As you see results, you notice what delivers the results. You can remove all the distractions and double down, and as a result, your efficiency will give you back time. In the beginning, what requires hard work and what requires time as you're learning will then get flipped on its head, and because what you know and have become more efficient in will give you back that time. It's how I have been able to earn more and work less, train less and get healthier. Experience truly matters, so start getting into it. Do you have a knowledge problem or an execution problem? If it's execution, I would recommend finding accountability within the Strong Men of Value Academy, which an intake is open for another week, so maybe check that out. Now, finally, life improvement versus life maintenance. It is easier to build than it is to start. I know that for a fact. It's always the fear of the unknown or getting that momentum. But this is what I've always found. And when starting something new, whether it's building a habit like a fitness routine, starting a new job, or entering a new relationship, it requires more of your time because you're gathering information, you're seeking to understand, right? You need to experience it to work out how it all works. And you have to learn, you have to establish routine or habit to get back that efficiency and start going into unconscious competence where you do things without thinking about it. And this time investment is taking, time from other areas that need it. And this is why I'm a believer in working on one significant goal at a time. It is going to take a lot of your time away from you, but I know that one big goal won't completely destroy my life. A lot of people have this moment of motivation or this desire to change their life, and they want to change everything. And because so much is changing, so many routines that need to be built and habits need to be changed, it just requires so much time that they can't get anything done. And then they begin to feel overwhelmed, and that overwhelm then leads to shutting down, which means nothing gets achieved. And then we reaffirm this belief that I can't change my life. Whereas if we flipped it on our head and said, I'm going to have some areas of my life in maintenance mode and one main area in growth mode, meaning I've got great routines and habits that are going to support my own mental stability while I work on this growth and this goal achievement, that I am not going to feel overwhelmed. I'm going to be able to provide 100% focus. I'm going to be able to deal with the obstacles and the adversity that come along the way. And eventually over time, it is going to turn into a habit or a routine that uplifts my quality of life. And over time, that big goal will go from a life improvement factor into a life maintenance factor. For some of you, it may be a weight loss goal. You may want to drop 20 kilos, and you have to really focus in on that, on your diet, counting calories, sacrificing social outings because you don't have the discipline to say no to alcohol or rich foods, etc. That in the beginning, that requires a lot of focus, energy, and sacrifice. Over time, as that becomes part of who you are and you get the results and your beliefs shift, you can now maintain that because you consciously or unconsciously, make better decisions that lead to a healthier life. So I want to give you an example. A big goal I'm working on at the moment is running a certain amount, over 30 consecutive marathons across multiple countries. Now, I know my habits are going to have me in maintenance mode for my work and for my relationship. And currently, as I prep for this challenge, this is what my life looks like. So in life improvement, the things that I'm doing that are going to improve my life to achieve this goal is running for 2+ hours a day while traveling to different states of the country. I'm recovering on the road, so keeping my head right and my body healthy, which means I have to find healthy, nutritious food while I'm traveling. I have to make sure that I'm sleeping well. Completing the goal and raising funds at the same time for charity. Then documenting the journey. So that's what I have to build. These things aren't happening naturally for me. They're very uncomfortable and they require me to be better. Normally when I travel, I'm happy to eat Chick-fil-A and not the best foods, but I have to be on point to achieve this goal. So that then puts other areas of my life into maintenance mode, which is my work, it's recording podcasts, hence why I'm trying to batch them. Dating my wife, we're not getting as much date time because I'm pretty knackered and we're traveling, etc. My reading and writing's down and catching up with friends, all of these are in maintenance mode, doing the bare minimum to keep the results that I'm currently getting. So I want you to think about your life. What needs improvement and what can you maintain while focusing on that? I've found this has been much easier to establish after creating that vision. And it's hard to set any 12-week goal if you don't know what you want from your life. So check out the self-discovery program. We'll help you with that. But I want to prove to people that it doesn't matter how busy you think you are, things can still be improved, right? Whether you're stuck in a job or you have a busy family life or you're just struggling with energy, there will be things that you can put into your life improvement bucket and things that you can put into maintenance mode. But the key is to do something different output for different, input or result. So start small and build momentum over time. I'm committed to sharing tips around how to build better health, be more productive, and design a better life. And if you have questions for me, comment in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter or on Instagram because I would love to hear from you. But some things that I'm going to be adding to the self-discovery program is how I use notes on an iPhone. Obviously, you can move this to Android. How we use reminders and tasks, for task management, and Apple Calendar for time management, so you can be more productive, amplify your results, and achieve more of the goals that you want to achieve. That is how I make time and can get everything done. That's important to me because firstly, I optimize for lifestyle. So I'm making sure that my time is scheduled using the Focus daily plan. I prioritize through my task management and I make sure I'm executing rather than just constantly seeking more knowledge. I'm getting the most important things done. And then finally, I'm putting things into maintenance mode that I understand and do unconsciously. And I'm really putting energy into the things that need my focus while I'm building new routines, working towards goals, and establishing new habits. My name is Lachlan Stuart. Thank you for listening to today's episode.